You guys don't spend that much time together on screen. So did you guys have to do stuff in it, like sort of ahead of filming to sort of develop a sense of chemistry, or was it just sort of more helpful in the abstract to sort of go like, I am missing this person, I care about this person?
We met once before filming, right?
Yeah, but I think at least for me, everything kind of had to revolve really around Lily, and because otherwise you're not gonna really root for him to end up saving the day, and you don't really need these people to succeed unless you have that connection and that amount of love. So the risks that we take, I think, kind of like sets I don't know, it's kind of like an example of them showing how much they love her, and what they're willing to do is kind of says it all.
I think it's funny. I mean, we did meet once before we started filming, and then we really didn't shoot anything together. It's kind of like the story. I mean, we weren't together in the story. We weren't really together, like, rehearsing. And then at the end, we do come together, and then we did. So we kind of paralleled the story in a way.
Those at the end of the
movie. At
movie.
the end of the movie, yeah. So it kind of, the journey
Life
was happening.
imitating art.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, you are kind of terrorized through the whole movie. So what
I am.
what do you have to do to sort of tap into that fear, that to really feel the sense that you were kind of in permanent danger over the span of shooting the movie?
Well, I'm a big fan of like putting playlists together of music for different emotions and different scenes, and this was my second time on a film set, so this was all very new to me. I would go in the corner and like just start trying to shake, or listening to music that brought back memories of things, just really making sure that I was in my own element, and then just going for it. I thrive off of pressure, so knowing that I had this time to do it now and everyone's watching, you gotta go for it, I just kind of live in that moment. So I just went for it. I didn't have much to go on.
Well, you're kind of reckless to Paul being much more measured, and I'm wondering how you sort of got comfortable with him in terms of creating that dynamic, and just sort of getting in the mindset where you guys are not necessarily fighting against one another, but there is definitely this kind of ongoing friction.
There is that tension. It's kind of fascinating because there are moments where life is always imitating art, or even on set, we had this relationship that was just so amazing, where we could actually, we could mess around with each other, and we could, push each other, and, he's such an amazing pro that I always kind of looked up to him, the same way Hicks always looked up to Priest, and, how kind of, just how amazing he actually is. So it wasn't really hard to in a way idolize him the same way Hicks would. And so, it was kind of easy and fun, and
Well, I'm sure you guys actually filmed all of the action scenes at the end on a speeding train.
Yes, no, we did.
We took our life in our own hands. I'm happy to be here.
When I jumped on, it was really, you only could do that once.
Kind of, one-hit wonders, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm curious, like, what was sort of the learning process for you guys getting comfortable with that? Because it seems like you've done some action stuff in the past, but the logistics of this seem pretty huge.
It was pretty intense. With on top of that, even, we had the fact that they weren't actually there, so we're having to do all this, and so we still have to use our imagination. We're still acting, as opposed to having someone you can actually see and feel right in front of you. And so you kind of have to add that extra element in your own imagination that kind of makes it real for you. And so that, on top of such a massive stunt production type of thing, it's it was challenging. But we were surrounded by such amazing people, and we had, Clint Culpepper, the head of the studio, would take the time, and he would let us have the time and the money to actually do something right. And when you have that kind of support and a vision like Scott, you're blessed. I mean, it's just ended up being easy for us.
But the action, it was something I had never done before. I mean, with the specific train sequence, when I am flying off the train, it was on a stationary train, but I was on, rigs and wires, and I literally was flung however many miles per hour off the train with a 70-mile-an-hour wind flying at me, trying to grab Paul's hand, and his line is like, "I won't let you go," and the amount of times that it was too strong and he would let me go and I go flying out. I mean, I'd never done something like that, so the screams were pretty genuine. But then you find out that the fan was too loud, so I have to go back in and do all the screams in ADR. So I'm looking at it going, okay, so how do I reenact these screams? But for me, it was the thrill of the experience. It's like being on a roller coaster all the time.
So that wasn't real?
When
the train?
The train wasn't moving. Haha. Yeah, exactly. It was real. It was totally real.